Ever walked past a mirror and done a double take, thinking you saw something or someone else? What if I told you there's a mirror that does this on purpose? This isn't just any old looking glass. This is the story of a mirror that, some say, remembers every face that has ever looked into it. And sometimes it shows you a reflection that isn't yours. Our story begins in the dusty, forgotten halls of the Blackwood estate, a manor that has stood silent for nearly a century, crumbling under the weight of time and secrets. A few years ago, a team of urban explorers ventured inside, navigating through decaying furniture and cobweb-draped corridors. In the master bedroom, hanging crookedly on a wall stained by water and age, they found it. A large, ornate mirror with a tarnished silver frame, intricately carved with what looked like weeping willows and strange, indecipherable symbols. The glass itself was surprisingly clear, almost unnaturally so. One of the explorers, a guy named Alex, went to take a picture. As he raised his phone, he froze. He swore that for a split second, the face staring back at him wasn't his own. It was an older man, with a stern expression and a handlebar mustache, dressed in what looked like Victorian-era clothing. He blinked, and the image was gone, replaced by his own startled face. He shook it off, blaming the poor light and the dust motes dancing in the air. But he wasn't the only one. His friend, Chloe, later admitted that when she glanced into it, she saw a young woman with sad eyes and hair piled high on her head. The vision lasted no more than a heartbeat. They laughed it off as their imaginations running wild in the creepy old house. But when they shared their story online, something incredible happened. They started getting messages from others, old-timers from the nearby town, local historians, even descendants of the family who once lived in the Blackwood estate. The stories all echoed the same eerie experience. They called it the Mirror of Souls, or the Memory Glass. Legend had it that the mirror didn't just reflect the present, it held onto the past. It was said to have been crafted by a heartbroken artisan in the late 1800s, who, after losing his beloved wife, desperately wanted a way to see her face again. He supposedly used a unique silvering process, mixing the reflective solution with, well, that's where the story gets murky. Some say it was his tears. Others whisper it was something far more esoteric. The result was a mirror that supposedly captured a psychic imprint, a fleeting echo of every person who had ever gazed into it with intense emotion. Joy, sorrow, anger, love. The mirror absorbed it all, and occasionally, under the right conditions, perhaps a certain slant of light, a particular state of mind, it would project one of these captured reflections back. The stern-faced man Alex saw? That was believed to be Alistair Blackwood, the original patriarch of the estate, known for his severe demeanor. The sad-eyed woman? Possibly his daughter Ilara, who, according to local lore, died of a broken heart. Now, of course, the scientific explanation is far less romantic. It's likely a combination of psychological phenomena. Pareidolia, our brain's tendency to see faces in random patterns, could be at play. The old hand-poured glass of the mirror would have imperfections, subtle waves and distortions. When combined with low light, dust, and the power of suggestion from being in a spooky place, our minds could easily conjure up fleeting images of faces. It's a trick of the light, an optical illusion layered on top of our own expectations. Another theory points to something called the Troxler effect. If you stare at a single point for a while, your peripheral vision starts to fade. If you stare at your own reflection in a dimly lit room, your facial features can seem to distort or even disappear, leaving a blank canvas for your brain to project other images onto. So, were these explorers and locals just tricking themselves? Was it all in their heads? It's easy to dismiss it as a simple illusion. But the consistency of the reports is what's so fascinating. Different people, at different times, over many decades, described seeing similar figures. Could an optical illusion account for multiple people seeing what appears to be the same Victorian man or the same sad woman? That's where science gets a little quieter and folklore gets a little louder. Maybe the truth is somewhere in between. Perhaps the mirror isn't haunted in the traditional sense. with spirits trapped inside. Instead, what if it's a metaphor? A physical representation of how places and even objects can hold on to memory. Think about it. When you visit a historic site, don't you feel a certain energy? A sense of the people who walked there before you? The Blackwood Estate is saturated with a century of human experience. The triumphs, the tragedies, the quiet daily moments, it all leaves an imprint. The mirror, being the focal point of the most personal room in the house, the bedroom, would have been a silent witness to it all. It saw people at their most vulnerable, getting ready for the day, preparing for bed, looking at themselves with hope, with despair, with love, with regret. Perhaps the mirror isn't showing ghosts. Perhaps it's reflecting the powerful emotional residue left behind in that space. It's not remembering faces, but remembering feelings, and our brains translate those feelings into the familiar shape of a face. It becomes a haunting metaphor for memory itself. Our own memories are not perfect recordings. They are fluid, emotional, and often distorted. We remember the feeling of a moment more than the exact details. The mirror of souls might operate on the same principle. It reflects not what was literally there, but the essence of who was there. The sternness of the patriarch, the sorrow of the daughter, these are the powerful emotional signatures that outlast the physical body. So, what happened to the mirror? According to the urban explorers, it's still there, hanging crookedly on the wall in the abandoned Blackwood Estate. They chose to leave it, feeling it was a part of the house's story. It waits in the silence, gathering dust, and maybe gathering new reflections from the occasional brave visitor. Ultimately, whether you believe it's a paranormal portal, a psychological trick, or a beautiful metaphor, the story of the mirror that remembers faces forces us to look at ourselves. The next time you look in a mirror, think about the reflection you're leaving behind. What story will your face tell 100 years from now? Are you just a fleeting image, or are you leaving an echo, an imprint, for someone else to find? Thanks so much for watching and venturing into this mystery with me. If you enjoy stories that blur the line between fact and folklore, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into the unknown. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is the mirror haunted, or is it all in our heads? Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.